Hello, today I'm going to show you how to make this wavy tails down hair bow. So I've got 3 pieces of ribbon here already cut, and I used a lighter to heat seal the ends of the ribbon and prevent any further fraying. These 2 pieces here are 4 centimeters wide or 1.5 inch wide ribbons, and these 2 pieces are cut to 29 centimeters in length, or that equals to around 11.5 inches in length. So that's 2 pieces at that length. And this long piece here, which is for the tails down base bow, again is 4 centimeters wide or 1.5 inch wide, and this piece is cut to 42 centimeters in length, or around just over 16.5 inches in length. So I'm just going to set that piece aside first of all. And as you can see, I've already added some pins on these. So these are just to mark out some measurements. So I'll show you that now. So I've got 2 pins on each half, and these are pinned in at 10.5 centimeters from the outer edges. So this pin is 10.5 centimeters in from the left, and this side is in 10.5 centimeters from the right. Now, just to check, the gap in the middle should be around 8 centimeters, which that is. So you don't have to check that, but I just like to check it just to make sure we've got them all even. So do that the same on both of your pieces. And you can also double check that they are lined up by folding the ribbon in half, and both of the pins should match up. So now I'm going to set these 2 aside, and we're going to bring back the longer piece, which was the 42 centimeter length piece of ribbon, and this is for the tails down base bow. And as you can see, I've already got 2 pins in here also. So the first pin I got by folding it in half, so this pin is marking the center, and then the other pin, which is on the right, is 5.5 centimeters from the middle pin. So 5.5 centimeters from the middle pin, you want to pop a pin in there, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. So to do that, I'm going to fold it in half again, and then grabbing my third pin, I'm just going to line it up with the first one that I put in and pop it in there. And then we know that that is also 5.5 centimeters from the center. That's just another way of doing it rather than measuring it out. So yeah, we've got 3 pins now in this long piece. And now we're going to start making this base bow. So taking this right piece, we're going to fold it diagonally up to that pin, and it's folded down at an angle. Then take the left piece also, again fold it in line with that left pin. Make sure that they cross over evenly in the middle. So where they cross over should be where the middle pin is. And then grabbing a couple of hair clips, I'm just going to clip those on the sides to hold it in place. So this is what it looks like now, and you want to make sure that these pieces of ribbon here are just touching at the edges, so you know that you've got that angle nice and even, like that. And now we're ready to fold it in half to mark the center. I know we've got that pin in there, but I need to remove that because that's where we're going to stitch. So instead I'm going to take my lighter and mark a crease in there, so I can use that crease as a guide for my stitching. So when I open up this now, you can see that lovely crease in there to use as a guide for our stitches. So taking my needle threaded with some strong thread and a knot in the end, I'm going to aim for 8 stitches across this middle. So going in through the top toward the bottom, catching both layers of the ribbon for my first stitch, coming back up through the bottom toward the top for the second stitch, then in through the top toward the bottom. That's our third stitch, from the bottom toward the top for our fourth stitch, back in through the top for our fifth stitch, and then up from the bottom just where these 2 pieces cross over toward the top, and that is our 6th stitch, and then 2 more stitches in this last piece, so in through the top toward the bottom, 7 stitches, and this is our 8th and final stitch coming up from the bottom. And then I'm going to remove these pins and the clips, and then we can pull on the thread to form that pinch in the middle. So just give that a nice pull until you've got that pinch in that middle, and then once you've got that in there nice and tight, I'm going to wrap this round a couple of times to hold it in place, and then on the underside I'm going to go through, catching the edge of the ribbon or just a little piece of the ribbon. I'm going to go in once and then go through this loose loop before I pull it tight a couple of times to form a knot, and that will hold that all in place so I can trim off the excess thread. So that is our tails down base bow now ready. So I'm going to set this aside now, and we're going to work on the main part of our bow. So bringing back the other two pieces of ribbon, which are the 29cm length pieces, and taking this right side, we're going to fold it up diagonally up to where this pin is. So the bottom of this pin will be in line with this fold, but because we've got it at an angle, this top piece here will be a centimetre overlap. So 1 centimetre overlap at the top, with the bottom being in line with the pin. So you know you've got the correct angle, and I'm just going to pop a clip on there again to hold that in place. And then we're going to do the same with the left side, so folding it up diagonally, again in line with the pin. I'm just going to push this pin down so I can see that it's in line at the bottom there. And again, you want 1 centimetre overlap on that top edge. So I'm just going to check that with my tape measure. So 1 centimetre overlap at the top there. And again, grabbing another clip to hold that in place. So this is what it looks like now. And now I'm going to do the same on the second piece. So we've got our two pieces now folded the same so far. Going back to the first piece now, we're going to take this piece on the right and we're going to fold this back out toward the right. Just move that piece out of the way. So taking this right piece, folding it out toward the right, and then grabbing it and flipping it back down toward the bottom. And then I'm just going to turn it over to the underside, making sure that this piece of ribbon is coming straight down here like that, and the raw edge is lined up at the bottom. You'll end up with a little bit of an overhang here, which is fine. And then I'm just going to re-clip that into place using my clip, like that. And then we're going to do the same with the left piece of ribbon. So flipping it back toward the front, taking this left piece now, folding it out toward the left, and then flipping it back down to meet up at the back, at the bottom, and then turning it over to the underside again. You want the two pieces to be touching in the middle. So these two pieces are touching and they're central. Make sure that the overhang is the same on both sides, so you know that it's all even and central, and then re-clip that into place. So this is what it should look like on the underside, and this is the front. And now again, I'm going to repeat those steps on our second half. So we've got our two pieces now exactly the same, and now we're ready to stitch our pinch in across the bottom. So I've got my needle here, again threaded with some strong thread and a knot in the end. And I'm going to go in through the top for my first stitch, making sure I catch both of these layers. So both of the layers there like that, and pull it all the way through to the knot. And then the second stitch, I'm catching that first corner of that first half of ribbon on the underside. Now I did do 10 stitches on each side, so 20 stitches across the bottom here altogether. And to be honest, it didn't really make this much more wavy than if I would have done 12 stitches. So yeah, although in this video I'm now doing 20 stitches across the bottom, I would say just do the 12, because yeah, it gives just as nice of a look, and the waves, if anything, it gives deeper waves the less stitches you do. So yeah, I would stick to 12 stitches. As you can see, I just do my stitches freehand, but if it works out easier for you, you could mark out some dots on your ribbon along the bottom to plan out your stitching before you start. Sometimes that does help, so yeah, that way you can just make sure that you get your stitches evenly spaced, because it does help to get them evenly spaced. So yeah, you can either do 5 on each side as I am now, or do 6 dots on each side. But as long as you yeah, space them out evenly, and you go in through the top for the first stitch and then come out through the bottom toward the top for the last stitch, it's fine. You want an even number of stitches. So now we're coming up through the bottom toward the top for our last stitch, catching both those layers. I'm now removing the clips and the pins, and I'm going to pull that tight to make that wavy middle. And as I said before, it hasn't made it any more wavy by doing all of those stitches. So yeah, 12 stitches would have been fine, but there you go. It did come out quite pretty still anyway. So that's one half now done and all sewn in the middle. So now I'm ready to sew the other half. I'm continuing with the same piece of cotton. So yeah, you can do it this way, or if you want, you can just seal off one half and then start again with a fresh piece of thread for the second half, and then glue both halves together. And that again is an easier way to do it, to be fair, than this way. But yeah, as for these tutorials, it's a good job I do these, because that way you can live and learn by my mistakes. So now I've pulled in the ruche and I'm joining the both halves together. So I'm just doing stitches on either side to bring it both together. I will also do some stitches in the middle as well, just to close in the gap in the middle. And then I've knotted it off and trimmed off the excess thread. So that is the top half of the bow now, both halves joined together, and we're ready to attach it now to the base bow. So bringing my hot glue gun in, I'm going to place some glue in the middle of my base bow and then attach my top bow onto the base bow. And as you can see, this base bow just works perfectly with this bow, because those two base bow loops just sit perfectly in the middle like that. And now we're ready to add our clip. So I've got a ready lined clip in matching ribbon. This is a 45mm clip. I'm just going to hot glue this now to the underside of my bow. And then for the centre, I made this pearl centre. I did this myself. I've got a playlist of bow centres. I will link those at the end of this video so you can see how I made this. So to attach this now, I'm going to place my hot glue under the pearl area first of all, so I can line it up in the middle of my bow. And then I'm going to bring the two longer edges down and around toward the bottom, and then flip the bow over. And I'm just going to have to trim off the excess pieces of ribbon that we don't need, because we need just enough ribbon to wrap around under the clip. So I'm just going to trim off the excess ribbon and heat seal those raw edges using my lighter. And then taking my hot glue gun, I'm going to place some glue on the end and place that under the clip, and then do the same with the last side. So hot glue that last side down underneath my clip. And there is the finished bow. Again, I have made a tutorial on how to make the centre piece here. I will pop a playlist of my bow centres in the corner so you can check that playlist out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you press the bell button, that will turn on notifications, and I'll be back again soon with another tutorial. Bye!